Good morning and welcome. Today's guest is Delia McCabe, who used to be a psychologist until she decided she wanted to investigate how nutrition and brain function were related. Since that momentous decision 25 plus years ago, Delia has written two internationally available books, is a sought-after consultant, trainer, and presenter on her topics on 3 continents, regularly appears in print and TV media, and recently completed her PhD that focused on female stress. Delia, good morning and welcome.
Morning, Tsui. Thank you for the invite.
My pleasure. It's great to have you here. Listen, why don't we get started today? We'll be talking about how to action change so that our busy and often overwhelmed brains can find clarity in thinking. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I want to discuss how the brain actually needs specific fuel to function well.
So this helps to give a sense of calm and so that we can feel energetic again. Is that correct?
Yes, it is, but it's a lot more complicated than that. But we'll dive into that as we get deeper into the conversation.
Okay, then let me ask you some questions. Initially, what is the main piece of information that most people don't get about the brain and stress?
I think the thing that most people don't understand is that the stress hormones, adrenaline and cortisol, have to be manufactured, synthesized from something. You know, they don't just come out of the air. The food that we eat actually creates them. And those nutrients often are nutrients that we become deficient in when we're stressed. So it's very important when we are experiencing stress to ensure that our diet is optimal with specific nutrients to be able to make the stress hormones, unfortunately, and also keep us healthy and well and enable physical and mental well-being.
I see. Now, you know, as a male, there's a lot of women in my life, mothers, wife, female daughters. And so obviously I'm thinking, what do you think from a woman's biggest challenge she has when dealing with overwhelm and exhaustion in these times?
I think the biggest challenge that women have to see, and unfortunately it's a global phenomena, is that women are trying to do too many things at the same time. And because of that, they're running themselves ragged and they're stressed continuously because, you know, it's looking after the family, it's working outside the home or even working inside the home now in relation, you know, to COVID. It's trying to be caretaker and making sure that your children are doing well and that maybe your elderly parents are doing well. It's also, you know, communicating with friends and trying to support them. So there's a number of different ways that women feel overwhelmed in the really complex society that we've created for ourselves.
There are. Well then, what's the biggest mistake that women tend to make when trying to juggle their busy lives?
I think the biggest mistake that women make is they think that they have to do it all. And that's partly because society has guilt-tripped women into believing they have to look perfect, they have to be perfect mums, their children have to look perfect, they've got to do all the extracurricular activities, they've got to have a great job, they've got to cook well, they've got to be fit and trim, all of those things that society has put onto women. And I think women have bought into that. I think social media is partly to blame for that. But women generally want to extend themselves, they want to care, they want to support everybody in their world, and so they can end up feeling overwhelmed because of the belief that they have to do that.
Wow, that half the people I know are women, and obviously you've got some strategies. Can you share some of those strategies that women can use to maintain a sense of calm in their busy lives these days?
One of the things that I suggest to women and to clients is that they really need to reassess what their values are. Because, you know, when we're living in a world where we're trying to do all the things that we think we should do, we forget about the things that really matter. And I know that this resonates with you with the work that you do as well, Tsui. So, you know, the thing that women need to do is actually sit down and spend time examining what is really most important to them. And then that shifts their focus, and then they start, you know, prioritizing according to what those values are. And that just shifts the whole, you know, the whole dynamic. Because one of the things that I try to explain to my clients, and that they actually get after working with me, is that we can't just deal with stress and overwhelm from one perspective. We need to examine stress from, the personality. What kind of person are you? How do you feel about other people? Are you a little bit, stressed generally? Personality really counts. And then we have to look at the neurological makeup of the person. What was their childhood like? How did they respond to people? Who did they stress imprint on? All of these questions are important. So the first stop that I say to my clients is, let's look at what your values are, because then that automatically shifts where their focus is, and they start losing the things that don't matter anymore. And isn't that what we want? We want to let go of the unimportant.
That is so true to the facts that I'm hearing you share with us, Delia. However, no doubt you've got a lot of stories that you can share about busy women, mothers, grandmothers, who tend to use your strategies to banish brain fog and exhaustion. Do you have any stories of interest that you can share at this time with the audience, please?
Yeah, I have a lot of very interesting stories. And, I originally started my research looking at really school children who were very smart and were underachieving. And then I discovered that they really, were lacking in essential nutrients. So that was the first stop, 25 years ago. But today when I speak to women and I work with them, I look at a number of different aspects. And one of the things that I teach women to do is to reframe their relationship with food. Because, a lot of women are scared of food, and they're scared of putting on weight, and they're scared of all the different stories that the media tells them about. This will do that, with food. So that's one of the things I let them make friends with food again. And that's really important. And many of the women that I've worked with say it's just such a relief to finally understand that food is fuel and it's not an enemy. And that's a really important thing. I've worked with women that have felt very stressed, had brain fog, couldn't think clearly, really battled with their sleep and their digestion as well. And after working with me, it's like a light bulb goes on, and they know what their priorities are. They know how to feed themselves well. Their brain suddenly feels clear because it's getting the nutrients it needs to be clear. And suddenly, they're friends with food again. The weight that they don't want just falls off. They don't even have to think about it consciously. So I have a number of women that this has happened to, and it's always, it's like a blessing to see this happen, because it just helps women reframe their whole life and then find the joy, find a way to be their best selves without carrying all the burdens that we can accumulate along the way as women.
That's so fantastically interesting, because everything you've said gearing towards women obviously resonates to my ears as you're speaking. So thank you for that. So I understand you have a free gift to share with our audience, Delia. Please share.
Yes, I do. Anybody that heads off over to my blog, which is www.lby.life, which stands for Lighter, Brighter You, will be able to download a 4-day diet plan, which is not really a diet. It's a way to make your meals really yummy over a 4-day period, to let people get a feeling for how easy it is to feed their brain and introduce more calm and, stem the overwhelm and the stress. So I encourage people to head on over and download the report, because it gives a lot of valuable information and just makes mealtime a pleasure.
Oh, Delia, that sounds fantastic. And I think that would be imperative to any woman out there in society that's suffering from slowdown and brain fog. The takeaway I've gotten is that it's really nutritional. What goes in has a lot to do with what comes out. Thank you, Delia. Thank you for joining us here. And if you found these tips useful, and our guest today, Delia McCabe from Lighter, Brighter You, please head on over and subscribe to her email list at lby.com.
No, .life. lby.life.
.life. Thank you. And you'll certainly sign up for her weekly email newsletter, and look forward to that being delivered to your inbox every week. Thank you, everyone, and we look forward to talking to you again very soon, Delia.
Thank you, Tusi.
Thank you.